Welcome to another Pirate National Committee meeting. It is Sunday, March 19th. I had to check. 2023. I am the chair, Anthony J. Porter, and I am also the provisional director of the Indiana Pirate Party, though I am not the voting member of the Indiana Pirate Party because you cannot do those two things at once. We are going to go around the room and get our IDs. The first person I see is Drew.
Hi, Drew Bingaman. I am the Pennsylvania captain.
Okay, thank you, Drew. Next is Jester.
Hello, everyone. I am Ashley Melody, and I am currently Indiana's interim representative.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Ahoy, I am the second Massachusetts representative, and I am the treasurer.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Joseph Honoroski.
Yari?
I'm getting a pen from my backpack. That's what I'm doing. That's who I am. It's not in my backpack. Anyway, hi, my name is Rose Klein, aka Yari. I am the current representative of the California Pirate Party, and I am the secretary of the U.S. Pirates.
All right, and then Misty. Okay, if they are not available, then go ahead and give us in the comments. Misty O'Neill, Massachusetts representative to the USPP. For now, it'll work. Okay, those are all out of the way. What do we want to do next? We're going to do reports, and we are going to we'll do officer reports first. Does Secretary have anything to report?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I do. Despite getting almost nothing done this week because, well, pirate stuff done this week. I was very happy to see that it looked like Pirate Chat and Pirate Work Time happened without me, despite the fact, yeah, well, this week was hell for me. Hopefully we'll be there this next week. I'm planning on it. But I was looking into a task tracker for the officers because I want to make that happen. And there are some really cool open source options for that. And I found some specifically Open Project is the one that I'm most looking at. So next steps are I'm going to try and install a version of that. Either that or there's a Drupal extension, which I might just use on our, because we have a Drupal site already. So I'm going to fiddle around with those a little bit this week and see what we can do. So hopefully that'll actually get up this week. But trying to find the right ones was a task into itself that I didn't realize was going to be a task.
Okay, thank you, Yari. The other committee member, or the other officer we have here is the Treasury.
I have nothing to report. I still have to get a couple things uploaded and clarified, but I just have not had a free moment.
Okay, thank you. I don't believe there's anything in particular to report for chair. I mean, we did get a press inquiry about something, but that's going to be settled. That's going along well. I guess we can go to committees. I will go ahead and start with the Outreach Committee, which, even though I'm still trying to do some interviews and restructure it, a couple other people have continued to take initiative to make it happen. Again, like Yari said, kind of partially without me, which I am all about. So I think that proves that we might have even more energy in the Outreach Committee than we did previously, especially thanks to a couple new members. So I'm really excited about that. Is there anything to report for IT?
Nothing to report. There was no meeting.
Okay. And Joe, do you know anything about platform?
Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting.
Okay, then those are all of the reports. Any further discussion or debate about any of them? Any questions that need to be asked? Any mini things that we could throw in with reports? Yari?
Yeah, I guess I can just say it looks like a platform had a discussion about land value tax. So that just looks like, just based on really quickly scanning the platform committee section, looks like that's what they were talking about recently. I hope people continue to attend the meetings. Very productive discussions had there.
All right. Thank you, Yari. Anything else that we need to discuss? Okay. Hearing nothing, we will go on to whatever happens to be on our agenda. Is there anything there?
No, but I have something.
Okay.
Not old stuff. Though I suppose if anyone has stuff from last time, they're more than welcome to bring this up. But in thinking about the moderation committee and the way we move forward with moderation, I don't know if this is a proposal, but I think it might be. It's more of a discussion that I want to open up, and I think this might be something to bring up with the community at large as well. But I've been thinking more about it, and I wonder if we might want to start to adopt how's it phrased? To adopt like a no tolerance policy for harassment, bigotry, etc. Because I realize that immediately that sounds potentially extreme, and also I think that in doing so, what we allow is a community where we understand that that is not acceptable. And what we allow is a community where actions of harassment, bigotry, etc. in text form are not necessarily indicative of a person being a bad person. They're like, oh, you messed up, go try somewhere else. And it does not necessarily, like, noting that does not necessarily reflect on a judgment on the person, but like saying, hey, like, we can't have that here. So I don't know, that's something I want to float, an idea I had, especially in light of the discussions that we've been having around moderation.
Okay, thank you, Yari. I noticed that Joe's hand is raised. Joe, would you like to add your input?
I believe we already have that under the rules of conduct. I mean, simplicity in the fact that we are the party of open, in that, of course, we do get trolls. So, but I'm pretty sure it's in the rules of conduct. If not, I fully support. Even though I'm just an officer, I fully support that becoming a thing.
Okay, I mean, I do know that we have, we already have documents that talk about, we have our core values, we have some things to do with behavior, but I do think that if we are going to, if we're going to build out our moderation and our conflict resolution, it would probably be a good idea to have a specific general sort of, code of infractions and what the recommended suggestions for fixing them are, separate from our other documents, something that's a little bit more mutable, a little bit more changeable, but something that any moderation structure can use as a guideline. Yari?
Yeah, this is sort of just a direct response to Joe, to say that the code that we have already is sort of a series of rules and guidelines a code of conduct with regards to what is expected, but it does not lay out any sort of a series of punishments, or I don't like the word punishments, but I think it is the appropriate use of the term here. It does not lay out any sort of consequences, right? It does not lay out what will happen if the rules are violated in any way. And so that is sort of an internal process where we generally follow the 3 pirate rule, which I think is fine. But especially when it comes to, I think the 3 pirate rule works for taking action, but I think what I'm proposing here essentially is that action should be just, is it, if it's answering a question, fine, whatever. If it's just normal, like, moderation of stuff. But if it's any sort of action of, this person has done something that we would normally give them a warning about, they're gone. Like, no tolerance, a no tolerance policy. And that has not been codified anywhere, to clarify.
So back to what I was initially saying a little bit, Joe. You can go ahead, Joe.
No, go ahead. I can wait till after.
Okay, I was going to say, back to what I was initially saying a little bit. If we are going to build out our conflict resolution structures in any way, it might be a good idea to just start, compiling everything that could possibly go wrong, indexed alongside what we think the possible, punishments, sure, but usually more likely rectifications are, and start creating some kind of code for how we're going to handle conflict resolution in the future. Drew.
There we go. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I think a lot of this didn't we adopt a statement about bigotry and being immoral and repugnant or something to that degree? It was like our
We did.
Okay. And everyone here, I mean, obviously a majority of the people here must have agreed with that statement when we adopted it. I really hate to start coming down with mandatory sentences for anything, but I think I have faith in this group and other pirates that if there is a rogue element, that we will excise it if it doesn't excise itself. I don't know. I prefer the human action to a hard coded action. That's all.
Understood. Before I go to Joe, and I will toss it back to Joe, I think a suggestion for Yari is, I know exactly where this came from. While we do want to remain respectful, I do think that it might help your argument and allow you to argue better if you are clear and concise about how that thought process has developed over the past week or two. And lay out exactly, okay, I'm saying this because this is how I want to handle this situation, so this doesn't happen in the future. We kind of, we know, right? So there's no need
to be clear, this isn't from the Kentucky situation.
It's not? Okay.
No.
Well,
No, this
I
is
know not
actually just something
exclusively.
No, not even.
Okay.
I mean, like, this is just.
Okay, so
No.
It is general.
It is general.
Okay. Are there any other specific examples you can use to help walk us one by one how you think this might be used?
I mean, Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear what Joe has to say
Okay,
first. But
Joe?
yeah, I suppose.
Well, this is actually directly to you, Yari. I want to be careful about making sure our time is very limited, our time is very valuable. So I wonder if it is the best use of our time putting the cart before the horse instead of handling each case individually and justifying what is the best use of our time in that particular moment. I'm all for clarification, I'm all for justification. Um, but I think that a lot of the things that we're already talking about, we already agree upon, and it's why we're all supporting each other the way that we are. As the honorable representative of the Dread Pirateness said, we already agree. We're already in agreement. I agree with you, and I support you, Yari. And if there's something that is bothering you, let's go hit it with a cannon, and then shoot it. You know, but um, I think that just kind of like the whole theory. Sure, we can have our laws codified out, but I prefer to be flexible and handle it case by case and build case law in situational case law than and set precedent that way, much the way our court systems have for as long as they have. You know, so if there's an issue that happens, I don't want to waste our time on that. I want to waste my time, or waste, quote unquote, that time focusing on getting us into office, making real changes, instead of coming up with laws like that. That's just my 2 cents, and I'm no longer a voting member, so take it as you will.
Okay, I believe it's next is Jester, then Yari. Before we get there, I will say I like the idea of mostly going off of case law and allowing us to be flexible because Joe and Drew both expressed that. But I will say, in order for us to do that, it is probably a good idea for us to have, a more robust pseudo-penal code than we currently have. I don't quite know if we have the infrastructure there to handle case law because, well, for example, yes, it's in our platform that we don't like bigotry, but there's nothing really giving anyone how we apply that to internal member disputes. The infrastructure is not there. We can just generally agree that bigotry is bad. We don't really have any infrastructure on how that applies to member disputes. So I do think what Yari is saying is very valuable. Jester. Oh, sorry. Jester.
So I agree with Yari on this, but I also simultaneously agree with Joe, where I do believe that at some point it will be necessary to codify these sorts of things, though I would be hesitant against, any. Maybe this is just me thinking, actual politics and going, maybe no mandatory minimum, that sort of thing, where I'm worried about that influencing the party. But I do agree that we're kind of at a stage where we're too small to really be able to, at least in a broad sense, be able to codify these and enforce these at the moment. And we are not in a position at this time to be picking and choosing all of our allies. And though I do agree, we certainly should make sure that, bigotry stays off of the pirates. But I don't believe we are in the current position to be, as Joe said, putting the cart before the horse, as it were. Thank you.
Okay, Yari.
I have strong feelings about that. I think the beginning of our right now, when we are small, is the time when we need to be the most thoughtful about who is helping us. Because the people who have the energy and the dedication and are not going to come in here and screw things up, cough, cough, what just happened with Kentucky, are the people who we need, right? Like, if we bring in volunteers and people who are going to drag the organization in a different direction right now, that changes the organization for the forever, right? But like if you wait 20 years, the organization already has enough momentum on its own, right? So this is like this early stage is still a critical point. We need to be choosy now, actually, right? And your selection and I don't think it makes sense to have this idea that our selection pool is small, right? Our selection pool is small because we're not asking people for help. Our selection pool is small because we're afraid to talk pirate with people. Our selection pool is small because we're not going out there and spreading the word. Our selection pool is small because we're not fucking advertising, right? But as soon as we do those things, people like our messages. And suddenly our selection pool gets bigger. And so we can be choosy. We can be choosy and we should be choosy. With regards to the point about penal code, and actually, I just want to say this really quick. I think I'm almost on the edge of saying I want to rescind this whole thing and cut this conversation, because either I think we need to go with the idea that Drew said, and we should, as much as possible, for as long as possible, continue hashing this out on the human level, right? And hash this out with the understanding that we adhere to our values and care about these specific things and share these values and despise and abhor bigotry. Or we need to have some sort of zero tolerance policy. And anything that starts to sound like a penal code, remember what we are talking about right now, to clarify, is our own policing, let's call it what it is, our own policing of our membership. So anything that starts to look like a fucking court justice system to me is absolutely abhorrent. Honestly, right? Like you start to get into the specifics and say, if you do this, then this. As soon as you get at least 10 of those individual things written down, that's hard to change. That's really, really hard to change, because either you need to change all 10 of them at once, or you need to go in and change each individual one. And we've seen how difficult that is. It's like changing bylaws. I don't want that. So either it's one thing or it's nothing. That's my piece.
Okay, thank you, Yari. We are tossing it back to Indiana.
Okay, I will. I do agree now with Yari on this aspect, because, in all fairness, and with all the various historical things I've read about various movements, whether they be social or political or both, is that you need to nip this stuff in the bud quick. So I do agree with the fact that it would be best to do this now, but I don't know if as Yari was saying, we might need to go with Drew's method of sticking to the people aspect of this. And maybe this is my more anarchist side coming out, but like, if we make an institution of punishment, it's going to some point lead to maybe this is just me going slippery slope argument, but to me, authority structures can lead to unjust hierarchies. And so it'd be best to make, a framework where people feel comfortable with, the rules and are willing to collectively say, we are not going to let this person represent who we are as pirates, and we will eject from the party if necessary, or even immediately if need be. But I don't know if a penal code is necessarily the best option to do that, and it may be, as Drew said, to focus on the actual person-to-person element of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we toss it back to Joe, I will say, I trust us to the fullest possible extent that I do not think it is possible, within reason, for us to create anything that is not based on cooperation and rehabilitation, restoration. I understand the concern, but I do want us to just have a little bit of faith and trust in ourselves. Within a normal reason, I really don't think we have to worry about creating any sort of restitution system that is too authoritarian, because I mean, look at us. I trust you all. That's all I want to say. Joe.
I just want to say that the path to hell is paved with good intentions, and I just don't want to become the institutions that we hate. You know, I always want to make sure that we have, at least we leave in the system a way out in case things go too far, if things go built in. If we hardline into certain things, and I agree with the whole idea of, hey, these are the rules. If you break them, walk the plank. But I also want to make sure that, again, time from now, just like we're fighting the corruption that we're trying to correct with our whole system, and what we're doing as activists, as we're trying to fight that corruption with our movement, so too do I want to make it so that we leave those who come behind us the tools that they can use in order to stop that corruption. I guess I'm not wording it right, but I think you all know exactly what I mean.
Misty wants to speak.
Misty? Sorry, I don't have you here on the list. I apologize. My screen isn't big enough.
I believe Misty's having audio difficulties, but is able to.
Okay, while Misty attempts to rectify that, does anyone else have anything they want to add? Yari?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, unless there's other comments that people want to do, I'm happy to just say I floated it. Let's move on. Cool. Thanks for having a discussion about it. I rescind my discussion.
Okay, well, if you rescind your discussion, then I'm pretty sure everything is over. You kind of get the final say on that.
Yeah, unless there's other comments.
I'd like to open it up to everyone real quick, but
yeah, happy to do that.
If I may add one more thing.
yes.
Yeah, no, I'm not 100% against the idea by any means, and I do see its value. I just want to make sure that we're doing it cautiously. That is my 2 cents, and that is all I have.
All right. Misty, are you able to make the comment that you wanted to make? I see that you're unmuted. Now you're muted. That is all right. How complex is it? If you type it, we can read it for you. Is our current stance on bigotry readily accessible? Yes, it should be on the platform part of our website. It's just part of our platform. We stole part of it from the Libertarian Party after they got rid of it. All right. Any further?
We pirated it.
We did pirate it. Yeah, it's in our platform. I think that's pretty much at the forefront. We could also make something else or a portion of it to put it elsewhere if we wanted to. Is there anything else on this topic?
Not for me.
Okay. If no one yes?
Oh, I was gonna say I have another topic,
Okay.
unless you do.
Are there any objections to hearing Yori's next topic? Okay,
Oh.
Yori, you have the floor.
Conference, national conference. We got to talk updates. That's coming up. Mitch is not here, so in Mitch's stead, I will happily bring up that we have a national conference to plan, and that's coming up pretty quick. We have, let's see, that's the week of May, if I can do my dates correctly, the week of May 26th or May 29th, sorry, May 28th or 29th, depending on if you count Sunday, through June 4th. And that's the week of the conference, whose theme is Piratey McPirate Face. What we need to do is a lot of stuff. I think the first and foremost thing is getting together, asking for help, basically, right? We need to start asking for help and start posting about it. So immediately after this, I'm going to start a channel on Discord, because we had one for the last conference and that went pretty well, where people can organize stuff. And then I think if anyone after the executive session after this could hop into voice chat with me and just help me draft an announcement post to our blog that is just, hey, this is the conference, this is when it's happening, this is the name of it, check out our Discord to help. There will also be some additional ways you can help coming out soon. Something like that, something simple. I would appreciate your assistance with drafting that. That's all I have, but anyone else who has any ideas right now or thoughts about the conference, et cetera, please talk about that.
Might I suggest that some portion of this week happens at that Friday work jam, especially if we could get Mitch there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm super into that.
Are there any other comments about how we can go about planning our conference? Okay, if there's nothing additional on this topic, my suggestion would be that it might be time to move into that executive session that was proposed. This would cut the stream and allow us to speak about topics that are not currently transparent common knowledge. And I don't think we certainly haven't done this during my time here. My suggestion for how we handle this on the agenda on the wiki is that we come up with a summary about what we talked about and we just have the voting record. So, you know, it is still somewhat transparent. Joe?
Yari, on that help, I'll have time this Thursday to help you if you need me to. I won't have time tonight or tonight.
Okay, I mean, I'm going to be trying to draft and post that tonight. But if you have time to help Thursday, let me know when, and I'm sure there's other things that we can get working on the conference stuff.
Sure, and then the other thing is, I know I said I was going to help with the YouTube thing, and I wanted to connect with you on that because I know I've been ghosting a lot lately, but I'll give you some more effort while I still can.
Okay. Question, actually, really quick. Are you going to be able to help with streaming for the conference?
I can. I have one computer built, and I have another one I'm building that's almost done.
Okay,
So I'll have
good.
multiple
That's all I needed to
internet,
know. That's all I
YouTube
needed to know.
computers.
Good, because I can do part of it, but I can't do all of it.
I will have a brand
As
new
long
one
as you
built.
can do that, as long as you can do that, if you're talking about like YouTube bulletin or YouTube stuff for videos right now, I mean, like I care about that obviously, but I'm not like imminently concerned about that. So you're good.
All right. What else? What else do we have before we potentially go into executive session? Are there any objections? Yari?
Oh, I was just gonna say what you said in terms of putting up as much of a summary as we can give and voting records sounds to the wiki sounds reasonable and like something I can absolutely do.
Of course, I just want to make sure because I have watched meetings from a couple other parties, and I don't like the way they handle executive session. It doesn't feel very transparent. So as much as we can provide, I want to provide. Okay. If there are no objections, well, first of all, before we cut the stream yet, are there any objections? I am hearing no objections, so I am going to go ahead and address everyone watching. Thank you all for watching the Pirate National Committee meeting this week. We are going to go into executive session, but again, thank you for watching. Remember to vote Pirate. We will see you next week on IRC Chat.
Actually, quick question: do I have to
Yes?
motion to go into executive session?
I don't know what we technically have to do. I just decided to ask for objections.
No, okay, that makes sense.
And no objection works.
Okay.
Yeah, no objection works. Okay, cool.
We have no, super robust judicial committee that can get me in trouble and serve me some kind of warrant for not following Roberts, so we're good.
This is true. This is true. Thank goodness.
Oh, sorry. I got a Jitsi thing saying the microphone is noisy. I hope that wasn't too bad. Or it might just be background noise. Anyway.
Okay, I'm cutting.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.